Africa. It's a brand new week, and welcome to the brightest breakfast on the show of the continent.
Good morning. Yes, indeed, it is Breakfast Central on News Central. My name is Olisa Chukuma.
And I am Oluchi Inobong. Let's bring you the headlines we have for you today.
The INEC not going back on February 18, 2023 presidential election, says Nigeria's election body.
And of course, Mugangawa signs controversial amendment bill into law.
There's COVID-19 infection in Africa. Well, it surpasses 4.6 million.
Nominees out for Ghana Music Awards USA in the world of entertainment.
I will tell you about 8 African presidents to commission the Kanzugula Bridge. More of that on Breakfast Central.
The end of the road for 2 Africans in the Mayor of London race.
Kuna kallon News Central TV.
Right then, it's a Monday, 10th of May 2021. Let's go straight to the breakfast program. We're beginning with the newspapers from across Africa. Right then, and we're starting out with the Daily Monitor in Uganda this morning, which has a quite easy headline, you have to say. So check this out for a morning paper this morning there. Minister beats up 3 Anglican priests. That's the story on the front page of the Monitor. And I say that with a smirk on my face, but I know it's not funny. It says the junior ministers from Eastern region is said to have stormed the area in a government vehicle before assaulting the reverend over land dispute between a school and the church. So junior minister, having an assault against the 3 Anglican priests. Don't more on that on the front page there. So you have the one that talks about the prodigal husband. I didn't say that. It's the paper. It says joy as Obotek bodyguard returns home after 51 years. Now, the story says Vincent Obodo sits between his 2 wives, Josephine and Alalos. The family welcomed him back home in Agora, in the district there. Mr. Agora, a former presidential aide that has been in exile in Tanzania. So, and they used the word prodigal husband. Well, I don't know. It's political, but they've also gone with the, polygamous into it.
So much for polygamy.
Political polygamy.
All right, moving on from the Daily Monitor, we go to the South African paper. That's the Sowetan paper this morning. Now, looking at that paper, undertakers threaten Home Affairs offices. You'll see this in page 2. And I'm talking about coronation on page 3. We have the premier set to announce details of the new Zulu's king's coronation.
Wow.
We have more details in that. So I think they've come to a truce at some point.
After the family squabble.
Exactly. All right. Tighten borders. Spare SA a 3rd wave. Talking about the pandemic, the coronavirus as it sweeps the country, the continent, and even the world at large. You will find more details in the paper of Sowetan. Now, COVID-19 hits schools hard. It hits schools hard. Well, page 4, you will have more information on this. More holes. This talking about a dead woman walking. More woes for IPHC leader's estranged wife. More details, page 7.
All right, let's come to Nigeria, West Africa, with the Daily Trust newspaper and see what they have for us this morning. All about Boko Haram. Says army raids home, arrest 13 suspects in Kano, which is in northwestern Nigeria. It says troops launch manhunt for IPOB member in Olu. Another police station attacked in Abia. Buhari warns against attacks on security formations. The likes of Douara, Bauchi, Emirs Council, Salah Doba. So there you have it on the front page of the Daily Trust this morning. Also at the bottom, it talks about 30 people killed, 7 missing in Niger boat mishaps there. But on the front page, it was all about church services yesterday. Members of Living Faith Church in Abuja celebrating the 4th anniversary Thanksgiving service. Also Mother's Day for a couple of, Christian faithfuls yesterday. So perhaps also quite important to also have the mothers, women featuring on the front page of the Daily Trust this morning. So there you have it. Army raids home arrest 13 suspects in Kano.
All right, from the Daily Trust Nigeria, we're moving to the Daily News in Zimbabwe. Looking at the Daily News, do not feel sorry. Treat my artistic work objectively. All right, so there you have it in the world of entertainment. Malaba to stay as Chief Justice. This is talking about the amendment, the constitutional passage of the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 2. Just last week, I think we have the story in here for you. But now the minister has been confirmed after the law has been changed. More details in the Daily News for you to read.
All right, so there you have it from the front and back pages. And let's bring you with some of our top stories today on the program. And we are in Nigeria first this Monday morning. The Independent National Electoral Commission of the country has maintained its stance on the February 18, 2023 date for the presidential elections. Now, this is coming after troops arrested 13 suspected Boko Haram terrorists around filling last year in the Hotoro axis of Kano State.
Now, the suspects were arrested by troops of 3 Brigade of the Nigerian Army during an operation in the northwestern region of the country. Recall that INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu on October 15, 2020 had announced the date for the 2023 presidential election.
But some question and concerns have been raised concerning the dates, most especially the spate of insecurity in the country. Now, to bring on more on this, our Abuja-based correspondent Amadine Uyi joins us once again this Monday morning on Breakfast Central. Amadine, good morning. Welcome back to the program.
Good morning, Olisa. Good morning, Oruchi.
Good morning, Amadine. Now, Amadine, tell us what you know at this time regarding the February 18, 2023 date announced by INEC. What really is fueling these concerns about the possible changes? Can we even hold them to their words or hold them by their words that they may?
You know, this scenario is not the first time it's playing out. Why do I say it's not the first time it's playing out? If you have followed the 2019 elections, the 2015 elections, you see what the commission does is that the commission comes out with a work plan so that at the end, it follows the work plan and elections hold. But the truth about the matter is that sometimes every sequence of events is not fully in the hands of the commission. Sometimes there are certain sequences that either the federal government, either the political parties and others have to fulfill to ensure that the INEC meets its work plan. But at the end of the day, when they fail, they want to blame the commission. They want to blame the commission for failing. Now, the commission has set the February date for elections. But remember that, first of all, one of the things that will guarantee this election to hold is the fact that the Electoral Act must be amended by the National Assembly. And if the Electoral Act is amended, then INEC can sit down at this point. It's less than 2 years to the general elections. INEC can sit down and say, now the Electoral Act has been amended. This is the Electoral Act gives us legal powers to perform so activities. This is what we are going to do. This is what we are going to do. Also remember that Nigerians have been clamoring for electronic voting. If the Electoral Act is amended and the National Assembly approves electronic voting, then INEC will need to engage vendors who will supply those materials and machines. INEC will have to train its staff, and INEC will have to do a whole range of activities. So at this point in time, that is why stakeholders are afraid.
Okay.
If by now, yes, just last week before the National Assembly went on a salary recess, the President of the Senate once again says that the Senate will work towards ensuring that the Electoral Act is amended. But the time, as of this time, nobody knows. That is why stakeholders are already apprehensive and jittery that yes, INEC has come with a work plan, But we as a nation, as a people,
okay,
we must help INEC achieve his work plan.
All right, you just talked about the electoral bill, which as you mentioned as a factor, but many people are going to be thinking about insecurity because some have said that the announcement of these dates came perhaps too early. Do you agree with that, with INEC saying that it's this February 18th date when we have security problems all around the country that hasn't been solved yet?
I don't think the security challenges will affect the election because we have, like I said, more than 18 months, though it's less than 2 years for the next general election. Remember in 2019, people expressed the same fears that if in Borno, the heart of the insurgency, where Boko Haram is mainly domiciled, if elections could hold in 2015, 2018 in Borno and other parts of the country, then I don't think the current security situation will affect planning for the elections.
So it's not too early to announce the date then, from your perspective, for INEC then?
No, like I said, INEC has a work plan. And based on that work plan, I think that is why it announced the date and said, based on our work plan, on our timeline of activities, the election will be on the 18th of February.
Okay. All right.
At this point in time, I don't think we can blame the commission. It only tells us that the commission is prepared and the commission is putting things in place to ensure election holds as at when due.
All right, talking about preparation, you you made mention of something, which is the electoral voting should it be approved. Now, how prepared is INEC? Because we have some remote places where even during the last election, there were issues that came up during the election time. We're looking at electronic voting. If eventually electronic voting is passed into law and is to be implemented, how effective will this be in the local governments? Not forgetting that we have over 700 local governments, 774 to be precise, across Nigeria. And in terms of electronic voting, how would that work?
For me, I think it would be unfair to judge INEC based on the last election because after the last election, we have had about 1 or 2 staggered elections. We have had elections in Edo, and after that, we have had elections in Ondo, and we have seen a remarkable improvement. What the commission did was that after the 2019 general elections, it went back to its drawing board and said, this is where we had challenges. And he brought out a new blueprint to be able to surpass those challenges. If you follow the Edo election, INEC was on ground and the Edo election went on smoothly. In fact, Nigerians came to commend the commission. After the Edo election, we went to Ondo election, and it also went smoothly. So for me, I think let's look at the most recent elections, which are the staggered elections, and judge the commission based on its performance in those staggered elections. But be that as it may, the commission still admits that it needs to improve. There are certain issues that has to do with logistics, that has to do with transmission of results. What the INEC did was that it brought up a portal where people could upload the results from the polling units down to the portal, and Nigerians could verify. So it brought that trust. Then also of recent, the commission has looked and said, see, we need more polling units based on, we might not have the legal rights to be able to create new ones, but we are going to convert our polling points to polling units so that Nigerians will not have to walk long distances to be able to exercise their franchise.
Thank you so much, Ahmadine. Because of time, we may just have to come in at this point. But of course, you've said quite a lot, which we've taken note of, talking about the new, how the last elections in some states in Nigeria went and what we expect from INEC come 2023.
Thank you very much, Ahmadine Uyi, our Abuja-based correspondent and bureau chief. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Oluchi.
All right, still more to come right here on Breakfast Central. More top stories. Looks like it's the end of the road for Africans in that mayoral race for London because Sadiq Khan has pledged, to build bridges with Boris Johnson's government after winning a second term as mayor of London and surviving having his majority slashed by a former rank outsider in Sean Bailey. Now, the Labour incumbent will serve a truncated new 3-year term after winning the election that was postponed from last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Now, a record-breaking 20 candidates were contested during the election, including the independent candidate Nims Obunge, who is of Nigerian descent. Now, Clan pulled over 1 million votes, a majority of over 200,000. Now, with second preference votes included, Mr. Clan won 55% of the votes, and this is down from the 57% that happened in 2016.
Quite significant number, you have to say. To really break this down for all of us, let's bring on our public affairs analyst, Collins Weke, who has been monitoring the elections out there in London quite a weekend. And good morning to you, Collins. The results are out, and a new mayor, has been announced. Now, do you think the result is a true reflection of the will of the people?
Very good morning to you, Olis and Oluchi. Well, the most important, factor in answering your question, Olisa, is whether or not the election was free and fair. Of course, the answer is yes. But of course, when you look at the other side of the coin, which is essentially the turnout, you will find that it is nothing to write home about. I mean, the turnout was less than 42% of all the eligible voters. That is less than half. So you can talk of some sort of empathy, political empathy, that has made people not to turn out in such large numbers. Yes, the Labour candidate, the incumbent, Sadiq Khan, actually lost about 1.6% of his vote compared to the last time he stood, whereas his opponent, his major opponent, Conservative, actually gained 1.6. Ironical, you would say. So that tells something about, the power shift. Nonetheless, I mean, he won with a very, very comfortable 55. Nearly 56% of the vote. So that is remarkable, and that speaks to the fact that he has a comfortable, approval of the Londoners to continue to lead them as their mayor.
All right, let's look at one of Nigeria's descent who contested in the election, talking about Nims Obunge. Tell us how he actually fared during the election.
Well, like I opened earlier on in one of your programs in the run-up to the election, the fact that Nims Obunge actually made it up to this point is victory on his own. Now, the other sweet victory, of course, is winning. I am not sure that Nims himself actually believed that he was going to win the election, but he has some very important message to pass across. And he used the platform of the election to pass those messages across. But he also has now started positioning himself beyond his pastoral work, beyond his philanthropic work, to show that, he has interest in politics and that he can be a force to be reckoned with. I believe those are some of the gains that he made with his candidacy. So yes, his candidacy was, victory, even though he didn't win the mayoral race.
Yeah, Colin, just like you just mentioned, Obunge's participation is one that, has been applauded by many in the first place. Well, what does it really mean, for Africans, based in that city of London, or people of African descent, ethnic minority, black African ethnic minorities, now that somebody has gone this far in contesting for that seat?
It tells a very interesting story. But beyond that, beyond the Africans, you can also see that in the last 3-4 years, there has been some sort of cultural war, not only in the United Kingdom, but all across, the Western Hemisphere. Now, black people, ethnic minorities, have been at the receiving ends of all sorts of, inequality, all sorts of discrimination, and so on and so forth. Now, for the current mayor, the incumbent, his challenger, and also a number of African diaspora, being one of some of the 20 candidates that contested, actually tells something about the emerging emancipation of the ethnic minorities.
All right.
So yes, it's a very interesting story, and I believe that it will be built upon in terms of, getting young Africans who are watching the whole episodes, getting them to believe more in themselves, to say if Sadiq Khan, the son of an immigrant, if Bailey, if they can do it, they too, as youngsters, can aspire to the highest office, in those countries.
All right, Mr. Collins, because of time, we're really pressed for time. Let's talk a little bit very quickly about Sadiq Khan, who was re-elected as mayor. What lies ahead of him?
Well, Sadiq Khan has made it very clear that 3 issues are at the center of his, next term of office. Number 1, the aftermath of Brexit. Okay, Britain left the EU, and that has a very, very significant impact on London as a city. And as a matter of fact, London has actually voted to remain in the EU, but of course it is the overall vote that counted. He is now beginning to have to work on that aftermath. Now, I refer to the crude cultural war that is building. London is perhaps one of the most diversified cities in Europe, with the ethnic minority actually edging closer to be up to 50% of the population. In some counties, they are actually in the majority. So he will be working very hard to see that such anomalies with discrimination, racism, and all of that, but also gone, crimes, that he puts them on that check. And then finally, he talked about inequality. Inequality in terms of how ethnic minorities have been pushed down, institutional racism taking place. Now he's looking to, working on those. There are other issues, but these are the 3 major ones that he has given indication that he will tackle heads on.
All right, thank you so much, Collins Nweke, for your time on Breakfast Central.
Always my pleasure.
All right, you're still watching Breakfast Central on News Central. Up next, it's time for Africa Report. All right, then, let's go straight to what's going on around Africa. And let's now bring you reports from other parts of Africa with, first of all, Zimbabwe Harare. And we've got Lala there. Good morning to you, Lala. What's going on?
Good morning to you too. Well, on Friday, President Emmerson Mnangagwa signed the much talked about and opposed Amendment Bill number 2. The amendment gives the president powers to appoint the country's top judges. It has also raised the retirement age of judges from 70 to 75. During the 2013 constitutional amendment, there was a clause that was put in place that had to do with running mates for presidential candidates. And this clause was supposed to come into effect in the forthcoming 2023 elections. However, this clause has been scrapped. It has actually been scrapped before even coming into effect. And critics have said that President Emmerson Mnangagwa is using these amendments to cement his rule at the expense of democracy. Earlier, I spoke to Rashid Mahia, who is a human rights defender and as well as the chairperson of Crisis in Zimbabwe Coalition. And this is what he had to say about this amendment bill.
Constitutional Amendment number 2 is problematic to Crisis Zimbabwe Coalition, a broader civil society, and the generality of Zimbabwean citizens from 2 angles. Firstly, because amendment seeks to amend a constitution that has not been fully implemented. There are laws that need to be aligned with the new constitution that have not been aligned with the new constitution. We have not fully experienced or utilized this new constitution to the extent that it has to be amended. Secondly, because it also seeks to take back the progressive provisions in the new constitution and take us back to the previous constitution, the Lancaster House Constitution, which in fact was the very reason, one of the major reasons why the Zimbabweans clamored for a new constitution, because they said constitutionalism and constitution was at the center of the crisis in Zimbabwe.
Well, that was Rashid Mahia, a human rights defender, as well as the chairperson of Crisis in Zimbabwe Coalition. As you heard there, he's made it clear that CSOs, civil society organizations, and human rights defenders are not going to fold their arms. They are definitely going to do something. They are going to fight these amendments to make sure that they don't come into effect. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Lala. Off we go to Zambia, where Lydia Makina is ready to tell us the latest as we hear that there is a major commissioning taking place today. Good morning, Lydia.
It's a very beautiful Monday. You look beautiful, by the way. Yes, there is a major commission which is taking place today. It's the commissioning of Kazungula Bridge, which is a one border post linked to 4 countries, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Namibia. The project that has been running since 2014 is today being commissioned by the President of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, and other several heads of state, include the President of Mozambique, Filipe Nyusi, and the President of Zimbabwe, Emmerson Mnangagwa, the Vice President of Namibia, Nangolo Mbumba, and the South African head of state is being represented. In total, there are 8 African countries in attendance, including other Asian and European countries, which is being accredited to Zambia. A very big congratulations to Zambia and Botswana for this a successful, wonderful project that has been running since 2014. This is the only one border post that one can travel from Zambia, Botswana, Namibia, and Zimbabwe just within an hour, and you will travel from all these countries. So it's a very big project, a successful project for SADC and other African countries. Back to the studio. Bye-bye.
All right, Lydia, that's really great news, I have to say, the Kazungula Bridge. So many countries involved in this one, especially in the southern parts of Africa. Well, that is great news, so to speak. You're still watching Breakfast Central on News Central. Coming up next.
COVID-19 infections in Africa surpasses 4.6 million.
We'll take it to Ghana, where the nominees of the Ghana Music Awards, the USA, is up for grabs.
And we have programs to watch on News Central.
Testing 1 2 1 2. What it do?
Ooh.
Please tell Onyinye to also get ready. Onyinye. Ah.
News Central ní ẹ̀ ń wò.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central on News Central TV. Now, the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Africa has reached over 4 million. Now, this is according to the Africa Centre for Disease Control and Prevention. Let's bring in Joe Hansen for more COVID-19 updates. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for having me on the breakfast. Well, it's no doubt that the story of COVID-19 continues to remain in the news. Africa is the only region, by the way, to have developed a unified continental strategy for the coronavirus pandemic that has delivered results. The head of the World Health Organization, that's Tedros Ghebreyesus, made mention of that. Now, he made the remarks at a high-level emergency virtual meeting of African health ministers on the situation in Africa. Now, Ghebreyesus said something. He said, although Africa has suffered, he said, we have not yet seen the same scale of devastation in Africa as we have in other regions. Tedros warned that what is happening in many other parts of the world can happen on the African continent, in quotes, if we let our guard down. Now, I'm sure that we all have been following the stories, especially in India, Nepal. It's quite a sad story, and Ghebreyesus is painting a picture right here for all of us in Africa, especially for this continent, telling us that, listen, if you let your guard down, it's going to be a tough one. And I also took note of the newspapers, the headlines you read this morning, especially the Sowetan, where South Africa might also be going into another lockdown, a third wave, no doubt. So it's a bit problematic. COVID is not gone yet. It is still with us. By the way, a total of 236 people tested positive for COVID-19 in Morocco yesterday.
Wow.
Taking the country's tally of infections to 513,864. Now, in the past 24 hours, guys, 8 people have died from the disease, taking the death toll to 9,072 in the country, while 241 people are in intensive care units. The total number of recoveries from COVID-19 in Morocco increased to over 500,000 after 374 more were added. So the COVID-19 fatality rate in Morocco stands at 1.8%, while the recovery rate is 97.4%. Let me also tell you this, Olisa and Oluchi. Over 5.4 million people have so far received the first vaccine shot in the country, while over 4.3 million people have received the second dose. So it's tipsy-turvy, you could call it. They're making progress in one end. On the other end, it's also a big challenge. So that's where they have it. Anyway, meanwhile, the number of COVID-19 cases in Africa, by the way, guys, has surpassed the 4.6 million mark as the continent continues its efforts to contain the pandemic. Latest figures by the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on Sunday also said 44.83 million tests have been conducted across the continent, with almost 124,000 virus-related deaths recorded. South Africa remains the hardest hit country by the pandemic on the continent, having recorded over 1.59 million infections with over 54,000 deaths. Tunisia, Ethiopia and Egypt are the only other countries on the continent to have reported more than 200,000 COVID-19 cases. So it's really tough on Africa, and we can rightly say that Africa is indeed trying to contain this pandemic. And just like Ghebreyesus said, we need not let our guard down. That's all I have for you guys on a COVID-19 update.
All right. Thank you very much, Joe Hansen, for the very latest and updates when it comes to COVID-19 pandemic on the African continent. So South Africa, perhaps warning signs, especially when you look at the words and quoted by Joe Hansen there coming from the WHO boss, Ghebreyesus, about not letting the guard down. I'm sure everyone is just waiting to see, have we recorded the first case of the COVID-19 variant in India on the continent? I think it's South Africa. I'm not sure which country, but that's where everyone is looking at. If we have a recorded case of COVID-19 from India, then perhaps it's time to maybe not panic, but to raise some, eyebrows.
But already some African countries have already put a benchmark of some sort, and they stopped anybody coming in from India to enter their country. Some of the African presidents have come out and they put it out there that, look, if you're coming from India, please do not even bother stepping into my country. You can go to other countries, but no, do not come into my countries. Now look at Morocco, for example. Morocco, from what Johansson just read there, the recovery rate is 97%, 97.4%, while the death rate is 1.8%. I think if we focus on that gives us some glimmer of hope that we can hold on to, and we can say to an extent that at least even though our healthcare seems to be in jeopardy, but some way, somehow, we have been able to manage it, and we know we'll come out strong at the end of it all. We just need to not let our guard down, just as the World Health Organization president just came out to say, do not let our guard down. And as long as we do the needful, as long as we do what we need to do, we need to ensure that COVID stays away from the continent Africa as a whole.
Right then, it is still Breakfast Central on News Central TV. Well, over the weekend, the nominees for the 2021 Ghana Music Awards USA were announced ahead of the main ceremony in New Jersey this August. Now, our entertainment plug, Samuel Ojo, aka Sam Dandy, has all the latest.
Their wins for Man United and Arsenal in the EPL.
And, well, lots of programs to catch right here on News Central TV during the day. Don't miss it.
Hi guys, of course, straight to entertainment. Now, Afro-pop singer, songwriter, and producer Tekno has dropped the remix of his hit song Enjoy. Now, for those who know, Enjoy was off his original album, dropped in 2020, called Old Romance. Now, that particular song reached over 1 million streams on Spotify and Boomplay, and 8 million views on YouTube. But this time, the remix features South African duo Mafikizolo. Of course, we know them, we love them. And the music video is already out for this. Now, sources tell us that the video was shot here in Lagos, and popular Nigerian cinematographer Clarence Peters confirmed this in a recent Instagram BTS post. Now, this is funny, guys. He captioned this and said, the video was shot before the COVID-19 protocols were in place. In case you noticed, no one was wearing masks. Now, yeah, okay. Well, this is not the first time, of course, that we're seeing the Nigerian collaboration with the South African duo called Mafikizolo. Now, remember in 2014, Davido, of course, joined them on a song called Good Life. And that song, you know, was wide. We all loved it, we all appreciated it, and it's still a song that people play till today. All right, so let's move from there now to Ghana, where, of course, like I said, the nominations for the 2021 Ghana Music Awards USA have been announced over the weekend. Now, ahead of the main ceremony, which is going to be happening in New Jersey, in America, in August. Now, this is the second time that this is ever happening. Of course, this is the second time that we're having this, and it's to recognize Ghanaian musicians in the diaspora, especially in the US, to actively participate and promote, you know, Ghana music. Now, this year's edition will reward music released between January and December 2020 in more than 30 categories. Now, that's a lot of categories, people. Now, let me just tell you that Sarkodie leads the nominees with nine nominations, people. Now, he's followed by Kwame Eugene with 8, Stonebwoy, KK, and Millicent all have 7, while Melody, Jehovah, Jamin, and Kiddy, people. Kiddy have 6 nominations. Now, if you remember, Kiddy was Artist of the Year last year. Now, this is very interesting because, of course, people like Artist of the Year, you know, are competing. So now it's either Sarkodie, of course, remains the Artist of the Year this year, but he's up against Kiddy, Stonebwoy Kwame, Mr. Drew, Medical, and Diana Hamilton. Now, this is cool, but me, I'm particularly excited about, of course, Jackie. Now, personally, Jackie is nominated for a new Artist of the Year category, and I'm rooting for her because we've heard her song with Omale. It's playing all over in Nigeria over and over and over and over again. So I'm just super excited because maybe Jackie might win this one because she's worked. Now, let's move to Ghana. Now, if you remember last week, right, the hashtag Fix the Country was trending. Now, celebrities like Yvonne Nelson, John Dumelu, Mr. Drew, Sewa, DJ Mensa, and others, you know, made sure that they took out their opinion and put it out there on social media about the government taking charge to make Ghana a better place. Now, in fact, I remember a particular Twitter fan made sure to put out that Sarkodie, Shatawale, and Stonebwoy hadn't said anything about it. That user is so cool because he called them out. Now, of course, last week, Stonebwoy did say something. Well, this week, we're in luck because Sarkodie has finally spoken up. Now, he took to share his thoughts in a lengthy Instagram post. Now, let me take a little part of what he said. Now, he says, I've always supported Fix the Country agenda since the beginning of my career through my music. Now, he goes on to add that we all play a role in building our nation. So I support both the Fix the Country, of course, to the leaders, and Fix Yourself to the citizens. But at this point, leaders have to do more because fixing the country automatically fixes the people. Now, this is funny because this comes after government's reaction. So this was trying to fix the country, and then all of a sudden, the government party decided to pull it up against the people and then start to tread, fix yourselves, fix the citizens. It's both important. Sarkodie has said that, you know what? Yeah, once the government fixes the system, the people will be fixed. Now, finally, let me wrap up with this. Like I said, I've always been saying that people should vote. We've put it out here a couple of times that people should vote for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that was open since the beginning of this year and closed on the 7th of May. Now, let me just give you a rundown. The votings have closed. I voted a couple of times because we're allowed to vote each and every day, once a day. And I, of course, voted for Fela. So now let me tell you now, according to the rundown, 81-year-old American singer Tina Turner leads the vote, right? And of course, sadly. But second, late Nigerian multi-instrumentalist Fela Kuti, who we know and love, and is the voice behind, Afro beats that we know today. He's in second place. Now, American rock band The Go-Go's was in third place. Now, Iron Maiden and Foo Fighters came in fourth and fifth, respectively. Now, this is cool because, it gives us, the viewers a shot at, appreciating, these people, wherever the continent you're from. And I think it's beautiful because for you to be nominated at all, you have to have released your first commercial recording at least 25 years prior. Now, this is amazing because it doesn't mean that anyone can just get up and, be a nominee here. Fela had music way 25 years before, way before I was born, people, way before I was born. So it's exciting to see this nominations, and yeah, he's the first time on that list, and we can't wait for, more information to be released on their official website and Instagram page, and we can't wait to celebrate Fela. So yeah, I'm just super excited, and more information, I'll bring to you when next I'm here.
Again, Sam, all the latest Rock of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Not bad. Fela in second place. Yeah, we tried to be voted, but Tina Turner at the top. Well,
no, I can't beat that.
Well,
580,000 votes to about 530,000 votes.
Yeah, we all love some Tina, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Thank you very much, Sam.
Right. No, thank you so much, Sam.
All right, still to come right here on News Central.
Business Edge, 11 o'clock West African time, right here for you.
At 7 p.m., Village Square Africa with Solomon Alede.
At 9 p.m., NC Continental Prime, West African time.
Right then, before we go on breakfast, let's give you the latest in terms of the sporting results. We can start from the Premier League because Manchester United yesterday, came back from a goal down, just like I always love to do, coming back from goal down, to beat Aston Villa by 3-1 to secure clearly their place in the top four. So it's official, United will finish in the top four and clearly be a second behind Manchester City. 3-1, likes of Edison Cavani winning, scoring a goal again, the likes of Bruno Fernandes scoring for them. So 3-1, which means that United have delayed the celebrations for their next door rivals, which is Manchester City, in terms of their title celebration. Don't forget, City lost 2-1 to Chelsea at home on Saturday, and on Sunday, United said, well, you have to wait and wait until you're ready to lift the title. So good win for Manchester United yesterday, 3-1 away from home. Also, Arsenal winning 2. Arsenal had a 3-1 victory in the Premier League. Not bad for Arsenal, beating that West Brom side, which means it's relegation for Sam Allardyce and West Brom. It's the first time Sam's team will be relegated away from the Premier League. So there you have it in terms of the results out there in the EPL. There's also football as it happened in Nigeria, the Nigerian Professional Football League Matchday 20 MPFL results. lots of them, quite a plenty. But the one that will really raise eyebrows this morning is that one, that Enugu, Eastern Derby, Enyimba versus Enugu Rangers. So Enugu Rangers went away from home to beat Enyimba by 2-0. So 2-0 it finished when it comes to that derby, and the likes of Kano Pillars also having a 1-1 draw against Warri Wolves. I really wonder what our First Lady of Sports, Onyinyechi Obaro, makes of that result. Well, Onyinye, good morning to you.
Good morning, Olisa. Good morning, Olisa.
Loud and clear, Onyinye. MPFL returned yesterday, match day 20. Enyimba, defeat at home 2-0 in favor of Enugu Rangers.
After their continental duties, to see Enyimba get to defeat once again and win, maybe for Tayo Osho's side, of course, having to put tactical plans there to get Enyimba a win. But the big deal for me was that game for MFM, talking about Mountain of Fire against Ifeanyiba. Of course, MFM had to work over that match because Ifeanyiba did not show up for their match. So 3 points given to MFM there to take them up in the table. But we would say Akwa United still leading in the MPFL table at this point.
So there's big news about Michael Jordan once again. Something really big about his jersey from university days. I don't get, how much does he sell for now?
Million euros there, and looking at it, that same jersey sold for $480,000 at a time. But what do you expect? He's a legend of the game, and when he auctions his jersey like that, you get to see more people get to put in a lot of sums to that. Michael Jordan is a name that should be registered there. The likes of Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and even the late Lakers player, Kobe Bryant. You cannot just get away their name when it comes to auctioning their jersey. But it's a beautiful thing because that jersey sold for $480,000 before, and right now 1 million euros there. It's a good one for Michael Jordan there.
Thank you very much, Onyinyechi Obaro. I'm sure you'll tell us more about that University of North Carolina jersey for Michael Jordan. Thank you very much, Onyinyechi. Right, well, there you have it. Maybe we can look for...
I'm just trying to calculate that and put that in Naira for myself. Like 1 point times 460 or so.
That's star power. Star power.
All right.
Star power. Maybe we can start searching your wardrobe. Maybe there's something you wore.
Maybe. I mean, look at the jersey.
Start searching your wardrobe. I'm searching mine. That's our package right here on Breakfast Central. Olisa and Olisa will be with you once again tomorrow morning. It will be a Tuesday, same time, 8 a.m. West African time for Breakfast Central on News Central.
Adama, see you tomorrow. I can't believe it. What?